With the release of Netflix's new mystery horror series, 1899, we thought it would be a good time to look into a few seaborne mysteries that may have served as its inspiration. We begin with a strange tale from 1761. The Octavius was a schooner charged with fetty and cargo between London and the Far East. The long journey to China is said to have gone well, and after unloading the goods they had brought from Britain, they loaded the ship with cargo heading the other way. The weather on their journey had been for the most part clear and unusually warm. Encouraged by this, the captain decided he would try something that to that point had never been achieved. He would attempt to sail back to London via the Northwest Passage, a secret between the Atlantic and Pacific, cutting through the Arctic Ocean pack. Ice typically rendered this route untraversable, but the captain hoped the hot weather had cleared the ice enough for the Octavius to cut a way through, and so the crew and captain, along with his wife and son, set sail. They would never be seen alive again. We begin with a strange tale from 1761. The Octavius was a schooner charged with fetty and cargo between London and the Far East. The long journey had been hunting in the icy waters west of Greenland. When they came upon the vessel, a boarding party made their way onto the weather-beaten ship, its sails and rigging ragged and torn. No crew were found on deck, but when they made their way down into the body of the ship, they found the frozen corpses of all 28 crew, the captain's wife and his son, and still sat at his desk, quilt in hand. The captain himself, the boarding party, feeling that the ship was cursed, grabbed the logbook and beat a hasty retreat in their rush. They lost the middle section of the log, but had the first and last pages apparently, and perhaps unsurprisingly, the ship had become trapped in ice, and the crew had perished. The ship's last position in the log put it at roughly 250 miles north of Wainwright, Alaska. At some point, the ship had worked its way free and continued along the passage before being spotted by the Herald. After making their way off the ghost ship, the held crew simply left it adrift, and it was never seen again. A more recent, but no less intriguing case is that of MV Joyita. By 1955, the MV Joyita had had quite the life, originally built by Wilmington Boatworks in 1931 as a luxury yacht for film director Roland West. The Joyita was named after his wife Jewel Carmen Joyita, being Spanish for Little Jewel, by late 1941. The ship had been purchased by the US Navy and docked at Pearl Harbor weeks before the fateful attack during the war. The Joyita was used as a yard patrol boat patrolling the waters around Hawaii. In 1948, the ship was sold to the Lewis brothers and refitted for civilian use, and eventually found itself in the hands of anthropologist Dr. Catherine Lumala, who chartered the boat to Captain Thomas Miller, who would use it as a fishing and charter boat. To that end, on October 3rd, 1955, Miller, along with 16 crew members, 9 passengers and cargo, set off from Apia, the capital city of Samoa, on course to the Tokelau Island. They departed at 5 a.m. with the 270-mile journey, expected to take up to 48 hours to complete the trip, had already been delayed by a day as the clutch on one of Joyita's engines had failed. The ship would ultimately leave summer with a single working engine. On October 6th, a port on the Tokelau Island reported that the Joyita was overdue, and despite no distress signal being received, a search and rescue mission was quickly initiated. Aircraft from the RNZ AFD, Royal New Zealand Air Force, covered a search area of over 100,000 square miles, but to no avail. 5 weeks later, the captain of the merchant ship Tuvalu spotted the Joyita listing heavily some 600 miles west of her original route on board. It was discovered that all crew and passengers were missing. Along with much of the cargo, a radio on board was tuned to the International Distress Channel, but damage to the cable leading to the aerial meant it had a range of just 2 miles. All life rafter dinghy and firearms Miller kept aboard the ship were also missing. However, a doctor's bag containing blooded bandages were found on deck. The Pruhai ship was very obviously heavily damaged, and barnacle growth above the usual waterline meant it had been in this state for some time. Clocks on board, powered by the generator, had all stopped at 10:25, and light switches were flicked on, pointing to the probability that whatever had happened did so at night. Many hypotheses were put forward in the wake of the discovery. So strong anti-Japanese sentiment in the area at the time led to many theorizing that the boat had been attacked either by Japanese fishermen or a secluded military force operating from one of the islands who had not known the war had ended. With the Cold War ramping up, it was also thought that a Russian sub may have been responsible. Other theories include pirates, a mutiny, insurance fraud, and an argument between Miller and his mate leaving the ship without an experienced seaman to this day. Exactly what happened aboard the Little Jewel remains a mystery. Fascinated by ghost ships? Hit subscribe for more mysterious maritime tales. Don't miss the next haunting voyage.